2.3. Determine opportunities for evidence gathering in actual or simulated activities through consultation with the candidate and relevant personnel. Well, your candidate is the person that you will be assessing, and the relevant personnel, especially if it's in the workplace, is the supervisor or manager that it would impact upon their operations. When it's the case study of Susan and her learner group, which is all of you, obviously it's going to be the candidate themselves because it's an individual learner. Okay, so most of this is a little bit of revision. You've had your assessment methods. You know that you have to consult with your candidate to agree upon the assessment methods, because it will depend upon their capabilities. When we're talking about Susan's group, it'll depend about their computer capabilities. It'll depend also on where they're located, and that'll affect whether there's any opportunities for face-to-face direct observation. Being e-learning, if you might be enrolled over in Perth, and yet the assessor is based on the Gold Coast, so it's not going to be reasonable and practical to get them to fly across, whether it's either the assessor flying to Perth or the candidate flying over to the Gold Coast. So, that's where the assessment methods that are available are going to have to be negotiated and agreed upon among all of the relevant parties. But I'm just going to flesh this out a little bit further, because it talks about simulated activities. And there's a form here that I want to share with you called a Memorandum of Understanding, and it's highly regarded by ASQA to always have an RTO with a face-to-face learning facility available, or assessing facility. So your activity is to research your local community centre. I just need you to Google this. I don't want you to directly contact them. I want you to get the manager's name and an email or a phone number contact. Don't contact them directly. Just research this, because we're now making all of your evidence authentic for when you're a trainer and assessor. Okay, now we're just going to draft this. We are not sending them the Memorandum of Understanding. We're just still working through that you're developing the skills to fill out all of the forms required as a trainer and assessor. Now, it's quite likely that your RTO will have all of this organised for you. You're welcome today, though, to make changes to the current template from Evoke. And because you aren't currently employed, you're still training yourself, we will work through this simulated activity of yours, considering that Evoke is your RTO. Okay? So you'll have to save this as your own version in Week 4's portfolio, and you'll have to modify anything for the needs of your training package. So Dom, if you're doing a first aid course, you might want to run that from one of the local universities, one of the local schools. So I would just say I would leave it as researching a local community centre or something close to you. So the way we access this form is through your PowerPoint for this week, and we're going to double click on that embedded icon document. Now this actually comes up with a genuine memorandum of understanding that Evoke uses with a local community centre. So I want you to make sure that it's somewhere close to you. So you can see here up the top, leave it the same. Use this form, just change a few things. The first thing I want you to do is go File, Save As. Okay, and then I want you to put it in your documents, wherever you've actually saved your Evoke work, your TAE 40110 course, and put it into Week 4. And just change it to your first name and your last name. MOU, Memorandum of Understanding, that would be fine, and save it there. So once you've got your own saved version of this, you can start making your changes. So enter in the name of the training or assessing facility that you'll be using, and just leave Evoke Training and Development the same. Obviously then you'll have to adjust the words in bold to your local centre. Very, very simple so far. I would leave the purpose and the scope the same: to establish a facility to conduct VET training and assessment. Now, if you want to shorten the name of the organisation, herein after referred to as, and you just put the abbreviation in. If you haven't done that, you would just have to write the name out in full. So make that adjustment there. And we've also decided to make it simpler in the written agreement to refer to it here on in as the centre. Okay. So establish a facility at the centre. We're actually referring it as to the RTO, which is Evoke, and that's fine to leave it at that stage. And this isn't an RTO activity, this is for you as a trainer and assessor. So it just depends how your RTO wants to negotiate it with you. If you have your own individual business ABN number and you're subcontracting to an RTO, then it won't be Evoke. It would remain Evoke only if you're a direct employee. So you would actually put your business name in there, okay, which means that you would put it up there as well. Today's exercise, though, we're just going to leave it as Evoke, all right? So read through all of this. It's all fairly self-explanatory. I'd leave the background the same. And this is the area that you might want to have a little look at. You're looking at the responsibilities of the agreement from the training facility. So it's saying that they're going to have all of the facilities that you've researched. Have they got a whiteboard? Have they got a data projector? Dominic, if it's first aid training, I would suggest you look at a local surf lifesaving club, because they've got all of the mannequins and all of the first aid gear. And then Dominic, you would want to be adding, as part of the facilities that you're hiring, all first aid equipment, whiteboards, tables and chairs, list it all out so it's very clear with both parties who's providing what. Okay, so have a little look for yourselves about, obviously you're going to adjust it to your organisation's name that you're hiring the facilities from and what you've researched that they would be able to provide you. And I would leave your responsibilities the same. It's pretty self-explanatory. Maintain the premises in a reasonable condition. Report any maintenance issues to the centre manager, and then, whichever method is going to be agreed in a real situation. Is it going to be emailed? Is it going to be phoned in? I'd just leave all of this the same for the purposes of this piece of evidence. And you would want to report any hazards identified in the centre, because you need to protect your learners and candidates. They're learners when you're training, they're candidates when you're assessing. Same person, different role. And that, if any modifications to this agreement, if they want to suddenly change the hourly rate, if they want to change the days that it's accessible, a whole new memorandum of agreement has to be drawn up between both parties. Okay, the number 6, clause 6 talks about the funding. I would still leave it at $20 per hour and state that inclusive of GST. Once again, I'm not asking you to rewrite this all out. I'm asking you, now that you've saved this form, just to go through and make some of these little adjustments to this current template. And then place your name, and you won't be CEO, you'll be trainer and assessor, and then in the next line you drop that down, Evoke Training and Development, and then put today's date. And then for the name of the person you've researched, the centre manager that you researched but you haven't contacted, because this is a simulated exercise, just put their name in there and put an X, because obviously they're not going to be signing it for our evidence today. That's all saved then in week 4.